Well, welcome to Talking About Speedway. Con Migro and Graeme Sinden with you here in the studio. Con, we're kicking off the new season. What a show it was on Saturday night at the Perth Motorplex.
Good to be with you once again, Graeme. Yes, it was a fantastic night of opening, considering that it was tipped to rain all day, and the rain didn't really come until about lunchtime Sunday, which we were very lucky.
Dodged a bullet there, didn't we?
An excellent crowd on hand, and we saw some brilliant racing. In fact, in a lot of cases, you thought that the season was right in the middle of the way, how well a lot of the competitors went, and I tip my hat to every division that raced. Numbers were through the roof. Biggest numbers for a sprint car show, late models and Formula 500s. Best show for Formula 500s, I think, virtually since we've been at the Motorplex. The numbers were brilliant.
Yeah, well, they certainly performed. As you rightly said, all divisions performed really well. And again, rightly, you said that it's like the middle of the season, the way they all performed on the racetrack. The cars look sensational, as you would expect them to, but boy, oh boy, there's some really classy competitors at the Perth Motorplex.
We're blessed, and I think that the venue looked magnificent. And in addition to the fabulous Speedway show, what a tremendous fireworks display that young Robert Cardilli put on. So in my opinion, everyone would have gone home very, very happy, and they got a pretty special bang for their buck.
Absolutely. Con, let's kick off. I've got a slide here. I'll go back to that one because it's important. Let's have a look at this one now. So there we are. There's the slide I wanted to show you. And this one, I took some speed gun readings down at the Perth Motorplex on the second Wednesday night, the second practice. And both of these two guys, Caden Manders and Dane Kingshot, recorded 183 kilometres per hour. Now, I believe they probably would have improved those because that was earlier in the session. So it just goes to show you, though, what speed these guys are doing down the back straight at the Perth Motorplex.
Yeah, well, that's another thing I wanted to comment on, the fact that I thought the Motorplex track on Saturday night that Mikey and his team have put together was absolutely magnificent. And even after the late models, I had a look at the track, and there's still a fair bit of moisture in it, and there's a little bit of dirt there. So the drivers had a track that they could run from the curb to the fence, from the fence to the curb, and we were the winners in addition to the drivers.
Oh, magnificent. And talking about the track, we had some fireworks there, but the other thing I wanted to go on to before we actually get on to our Speedway show itself is Rico Abreu became the 25 high limit champion. Yeah. How good is that? And we're going to see him right here at the Perth Motorplex on the 28th of December.
Correct. He won in Texas on Saturday night, and good on him. He's a great little competitor. Another thing too, Graeme, that last Saturday night was the anniversary of Speedway that recommenced after the Second World War at Claremont Showgrounds all those years ago, and I think it was 1947. I was talking to Brian Smith before the show, and he was saying to me, he's one of our long-term fans, and he said, I can't believe it, Con, I haven't missed a night since then. So it's good to see him. He has his son brings him down to the track now, but he still loves the place.
Yes, indeed. Well, let's move on to the event itself. I just got to change the slide. I'm trying to drive everything here. We kicked off the night as far as the Perth Motorplex was concerned with Formula 500s, and as we said in the opening, what a great competitive class this is, including Cody Tarachos, who's in another stratosphere, isn't he?
Well, it was good to see, and we had some new cars back into the scene. We saw Reese Cumming got a beautiful presented car. I don't know if it's a new one. And you got Mark House returning, the engineer, who has been out of the sport for over 12 months. And then you had Stephen Ellant with a brand new car. And I think as the year goes on, Cody is absolutely a brilliant driver. He won by about 3 seconds that race. I'm not making excuses for Stephen, but Stephen was back in the bus because of a poor earlier performance that put him back at about 5th or 6th row. And he was held up in traffic a little bit, but Tarachio absolutely blitzed the field. And then our Opal Finance gentlemen in a brand new car, I think you said to me, got together on Friday afternoon, so they were just in time to go and race with it.
I understand that was the case, and how good is that performance, considering that pressure that he was under to get the car ready for opening night, and he's a class act as well, isn't he? He's come on stronger and stronger and stronger.
Talking about Brendan Marshman, I was calling him Mr. Opal Finance because that's his company, but look, he's a tremendous driver. and he does a lot for Speedway, not only just for the discipline of Formula 500s. He's a great supporter of the Perth Motorplex.
Indeed, indeed. In the middle of that slide, Con, we can see the two
Giants.
top cars, if you like, Cody Taraccio and Stephen Element. How good were they, both of them?
Yes, Stephen, traditionally his red car. I don't know whether he's going to become the bad boy this year. So we've got the white knight and the black knight, the white knight being Cody and the black knight being young Element. But they're both very good drivers. So I think that's great for the sport. And I was only talking about it after, to think that the years that Taraccio didn't race at the Motorplex for only reasons he can explain, probably cost him dearly from the point of overall winnings, because he is a very, very good driver.
Reece Cummins didn't appear to do a great deal, Con. He was back in the field a little while. I mean, he was up the front, but he's our current state champion, but he had no answers for the guys up front, did he?
A little bit hot and cold. He sort of goes and does record laps for 2 or 3 at a time, then he backs off, or he loses concentration, or what it might be, then he backs off, and then he gets going again. So he does his races in fits and farts, as they say, but whereas Taraccio keeps on the knocker all the time, and so does Element and Brendan Marshman. So they were the top 3 on opening night. I suggest they'll be the top 3 most of the time throughout this coming season.
And our Mr. Brown, he was in all sorts of bother, Brick Bradford type bother, but he did come back and he moved up the field later in the feature race.
Yeah, in the number 4 car. By gee, ever a guy's unlucky to be in the wrong place at the wrong time instead of the right place at the right time. He seems to be copying it the last couple of seasons, and I just only hope that a little bit of luck comes his way, because now he's one young man that can certainly take it to Element and to Taraccio and to Marshman. So we could have another man in there fighting very hard like those other 2 guys are.
Oh, indeed, indeed. Now, Con, let's move on to, let's go on to here. Speed cars now, and weren't they great on the night as well? Fabulous stuff.
Oh, unbelievable. It's good. There was 18 speed cars, the biggest number we've had probably since the days of Claremont. And not only did we have 18 cars, quality cars, and they kept going, and there wasn't a lot of the stoppages which we've seen. And, we saw the physiotherapist from Sydney and Caden Brown coming over here and driving a WA car, and he put on a master class. And it made me laugh when he's talking to 10-2 Mitchell at the end of the night, what he was saying about, he said, we've got a lot of different things we want to try in the car for the state title. And I thought it was, oh my God.
Well, that particular car is as good as any car in the world. It's got all the latest technology on it, and it's brand new straight out of the box. So I guess they are still working on it. But when you saw it going around the track, you wouldn't know that, would you?
And I was very happy for a young Fleming, a brand new motor in their car, and that's probably the first time that he's done a full night without having to pull the bonnet off and go and check the thing over. So, I mean, they did check it over, we know that, but it was good, and I feel very happy for him. And Jake Robinson, well, Jake, I know he only got 3 or 4 shows in America because they got washed out, about half a dozen. But if that's the way he's improved, we're in for a vintage year from a young kid or young man. He's only 21 now. That I believe is going to do double duty this year, because he's going to be driving a sprint car as well. But I think speed cars are in for a bit of a treat, because this guy's a hell of a racer.
Well, Con, we both mentioned it during the course of the evening on Saturday night that we've got some darn good speed car race cars here, haven't we? I mean, you talk about the Graeme Jones car, the Travis White car, the one that the Link chassis Jake Robinson drives, and you can go on and on and on. There's some very good cars, very good engines, and they've all got decent chassis and all the good gear in them. So I think now, and Keenan Fleming is a good case in point. I mean, he's a good driver, but he's had lots of engine issues and other things. But you put a decent engine in that car and he's a rocket ship. And
whilst we're talking about speed car, it would be remiss of me not to mention the death of the Norm man who passed away last week at 101. He was the father of Keith, who was a 3 times Australian champion, and Trevor, a West Australian champion. So those 2 man boys will sadly, and we all will miss Norm, but Norm did say to Keith a couple of weeks ago, he said, I'm just about ready to go. He said, I think I've run my race. But what a great contribution he made to Speedway and to speed car racing in particular.
Absolutely, absolutely. So, Con, just going back to this slide here, we've got the podium there. Good to see Jake Robinson up there. He doesn't get there very often, but I think that's about the change with the car and the experience he's now gaining. Keenan Fleming, he absolutely deserved to be up on the podium. And, of course, Caden Brown, what can you say about him? He was a rocket ship all night, albeit they reckon they've still got more to come out of that car. And the interesting thing was that Graeme Jones had his number 4 Esslinger in the field. I think he, with Harry Stewart behind the wheel from Queensland, he could only manage about 5th, I think, wasn't it?
Yes, well, he had a pretty poor night from the get-go. But Nicholas Rowe was another young guy, was right up there on the top and then pulled out. I want to relate something to you, and I'm not putting dispersions on the guy, but Buddha wasn't there on Saturday night, and we sadly missed him. But I remember Orb Lawson once saying to me, Connie said, once you retire, or 7 days after you retire, you're a memory, and 14 days after that, you're forgotten. Now, the speed cars turned up there on Saturday night, bigger, stronger field, and I don't think anyone really missed young Buddha, but I believe he's got a wingless car about to come onto the racetrack, so that's going to be interesting to see.
Well, the number 10 car, excuse me, I can't remember the driver's name.
Taraccio.
Whatever it is, he's
Terriaca, I should say.
Also put in a good performance, albeit he's not going to try and break world records right from the start. But that car is an absolute rocket ship, and one of the ones that I put down, excuse me, as one of the best cars in the world, if not in Australia. So,
Taraccio drives the Formula 500,
yes.
But it's Terriaca that drives the speed car, and it's a black number 10.
Absolutely fantastic car. And Buddha was giving him a hand during the 2 Wednesday practices prior to the season opening, so that's good of Buddha to get stuck in and giving the benefit of his experience and advice at driving and setting up the car.
Yeah, well, young Buddha was a hell of a racer, so we all know that. We'd love to see him back in the wingless car.
So, Con, let's move on now to late models, and how good were they? Again, those old fields, you can't say anything more about them, can you?
Brilliant. Warren won the A main, a brilliant drive. Jamie was second with Joe Chalmers in third place. Jamie probably could have won it, but he has a tendency when he comes out of the top turn, which is in front of where we sit, he does what young Chris Core was doing in the sprint car a couple of seasons ago. He seems to get right up on the wall there and he loses a lot of space. And I don't know whether it's because he has a little lack of concentration, although you shouldn't say that because he's such a hell of a racer. He's a multiple Australian champion. But Warren, the cheeky little bee, he really truly drove the wheels off the 15 car, and I think he's in for a great year.
And Joe Chalmers finishing third on the podium, and he had more issues to deal with during the evening than you could normally expect. But despite all the adversity, he got back up on the podium.
You know what I love about Joe Chalmers? I love his entry into the turns. I think he's nailed it brilliantly out of all the late models. He gets in the turns beautifully, and I think that once he perfects all of that and the rest of the field, he might be another hard nut to crack this year.
Mm. Let's just go back to that slide again and have a look at the podium. There's Warren, very proud, the first feature race winner for 25-26 for late models. Jamie and Joe Chalmers. Great podium.
Absolutely brilliant.
All right, Con, we'll go for a quick break and we'll be back right after this. Don't go away.
Saturday night is Speedway night. Don't miss a huge night of Super Speedway, the electrical group training Western Ambulance plus WA speed car title, sprint cars, late models, speed car title, and a whole heap more. Dirt track racing at its finest on the nation's best speedway, Super Speedway, Saturday, November 1, racing from 6. Bring your friends. We'll bring the action. Grab your tickets, motorplex.com.au. Be there.
At Maddington Toyota, we're all about great deals, value, quality and service. Head to our website for quality new, demo and pre-owned vehicles with videos so you can find your perfect car. We can organise the details by phone and email and deliver the car right to you. Check out the entire Toyota range, plus a huge selection of pre-owned vehicles, all backed by our real commitment to great service. Maddington Toyota, great deals and great service. Oh, what a feeling.
Yes, indeed. Oh, what a feeling, and oh, what a meeting on Saturday night, Con. How good was that?
Yeah, and I saw Marcel down there on Saturday night going around getting some vision for his Facebook page, and he was with the Williamson team for a little while, and he's wrapped in what the sprint cars are doing in West Australia, and the late models for that matter, but particularly the sprint cars are doing a wonderful job.
Well, let's have a look at some of the sprint car action, Con. There's the podium, and what a podium that was as well, and how good was it to see Daniel Hartley up on there?
Well, I felt particularly pleased for Daniel. Daniel's had a terrible year, really, or last year, I should say, and it was one he wanted to forget. I did say a couple of times last year, I think they should take the green off it. Well, they've taken the green off it this year, and they've got some blue there. Now, I don't know whether that's... I'm not really a superstitious person, but he had a hell of a run. But he finished third on Saturday night. I think we're going to see a lot more things to come from him. And a great drive from Callum. He was just in a virtually postcode of his own to a certain extent, and he drove very, very well. I was extremely pleased for him and very happy. I was disappointed with a couple of things that happened during the race, but there's one photo there of the 92 car of Chad Pittard, and I'm impressed with him. It's his first night really in the big league. I mean, I know he had a couple last year, but from the beginning of the get-go, he finished in 9th or 10th position. And that's a tough school. There was 28 cars in the pits on Saturday night and 24 started the feature race. So it's a pretty tough field.
Yeah. Well, as you say, Chad, he did a couple of events last year, but he still qualifies for Rookie of the Year this year. And a top 10 finish in that company was a pretty good performance, I thought.
Yes, and we're minus Andrew Priolo. So for what reason, I don't know. He must probably a family wedding because they normally clash. He's got a very big, strong family network and he's a very strong family man, but we know he's yet to come back, so there's going to be some good things. I felt extremely sorry for Chris Coyle. Chris got on the front row to start and an unfortunate accident with our champion driver in Dane Kingshot, which resulted in Dane Kingshot being sent to the rear of the field. But unfortunately for Coyle, the Scott Chatwin car was wrecked. They now have to buy, or they've got a brand new chassis they're going to fit for the West Australian title and the King of Wings show. But he was quite devastated because I think that was one of his best shots for some time to have at least got a podium finish.
Yeah. And looking at that picture on the screen as we look now on the 71 car of Caden Manders, the Dan Golding car. What a performance he put in as well, 12.856 I think in quick time. I mean, he was the only one that got into the 12 seconds.
Oh, he's a class act, and I must pay a special tribute to young Taylor Milling to think that he broke his back on the second last night of last season, spent a fair bit of time in Sir Charles Gardner Hospital then under rehabilitation. He's got himself back into top form. He finished in second in the A-Mine behind Callum, and he's a very, very classy driver. He comes from Kalgoorlie, and I've known his father for a long, long time. His father was a pretty wild sort of a motorcycle racer, and and he wasn't a bad sprint car driver, but this kid, he's got the goods, and I think that 25, 26 could be a year that we might see not the complete change of the guard, but he's going to move up the space.
Con, I'll just read out a couple of names there. They're not in any order, but Jack Williamson had a pretty ordinary night, but apparently he broke a torsion bar during the evening and then damaged the steering box. So it wasn't the start of the season he wanted, but he's going to be a good lad, isn't he?
Terrible fun for the guy. I think he's so dedicated, and I think sometimes when if you try hard enough, long enough, you succeed. I know that, but he probably sometimes tries a little bit too hard, and the net result was he got nowhere. But I think he's going to come good. He's one of the young kids that I think is going to be a great driver. Good
driver. We mentioned Chris Coyle already. Good drive from Chris. I think that was one of his best performances I've seen, albeit he had some bad luck in the end in the feature race. But the engine, the chassis, everything is working brilliantly for him.
Well, I congratulate the stewards for being tough. They're not going to accept that type of driving. It's not doing Chris any good, but at least the drivers now know that you're being looked at by Big Brother up there on the tower, and you step out of line, you're going to cop it.
Yes. And they pinged several drivers, didn't they, for jumping the start. Yep. And I think that's good ultimately. I mean, the drivers are told in drivers' meetings, if you jump the start, you're going to get pinged or put back to the rear or a couple of spots. And if the drivers know that, I mean, fans want to see racing, not restart after restart after restart. So I think that's generally a good thing. And once the drivers get into the habit, keeping in mind that was their first night, the adrenaline's rushing, and they want to win races straight out of the box. So you can understand it to a certain degree, can't you?
Correct.
Caden Manners 12.856. We mentioned that drive and that quick time on the conditions. Now we know that the track conditions change as the night goes or progresses through that quick time qualifying. And sometimes where you come out, you get a little bit of a benefit. But I think he would have performed well in any conditions with that car.
Yeah, there's no doubt about that. That car is a world-class car, and they had a Graeme crept into it, and that, unfortunately for Caden, didn't do him any good. And it was the first time I've seen Dan Golding emanated like he was at the beginning of the night. But I'm on his side, but I just there's a lot behind the scenes that I'm not going to comment on. So
we'll leave that alone for the moment.
But the fact that he's a hell of a race car driver, and he's just a very honest competitor, and that's what I like to see.
Can you imagine, Con, in subsequent meetings from here on, with cars all bedded in and settled down and the drivers under control again, what racing is going to be like in sprint cars with Caden, with Callum Williamson, Dane Kingshot, and all of the other hotshots, Brad Mayolo, and Chris Coyle, any number of 10 or 12 people could win feature races.
Well, Bradley Mayolo on Saturday night, he was brilliant. He's fast, and he was back to his old form. Now, last year he got his mojo together about the last 2 or 3 shows. Well, he's got it going from the get-go this year, so maybe we're going to see a changing of his attitude towards his racing. His car looks good, and we all know what a great driver he is, and I think we're going to have a bit of vintage here from young Bradley.
Yes, indeed. Chad Pittard, we've spoken about, Con, top 10 but finished. That was a great performance by him. And it really thrilled me and pleased me to see the likes of JD Dack and Aaron Cherkop performing like they did through the night.
Well, the only thing that Aaron Cherkoff's missing, or probably is the lack of laps. And I know that sounds funny, he's been racing a couple of years, but we all know it takes 4 or 5 years to get to learn to drive these beasts. So Aaron's still serving his apprenticeship, but he looks pretty good behind the steering wheel. JD Dack, a completely new paint job, the young businessman, and he's a hell of a nice young man, and he's one of the guys I'd love to see get more success, because I believe he puts in 1,000,000%.
Daniel Harding, we've spoken about him, a great third place on Saturday night in the feature race, and how good was it to see him up there?
Yeah.
He had some dogged luck.
Absolutely, you're dead right.
Jason Kendrick, early on, I thought was good in his brand new car. He faded a little bit towards the end, but he seems to have turned the corner to me.
Well, I think there's no doubt about that. I think he has. The car looks better than it was ever looked, when it goes back to the old colours when his father was driving the white cars. Now that he's gone back to a white car, which is good. Now Jason's got to get himself physically driver fit. No, I'm not saying he's physically fit, there's no doubt about that, but gets himself driver fit, and I think we're going to see some good racing from him throughout the season.
Taylor Milling, we've spoken about him as well. He's a cracking driver, isn't he?
Unbelievable, and he's a good kid. Yes.
And don't forget, later in the year we've got an event up on his patch in Kalgoorlie, so he'll be right at home there.
Well, I don't think it'll be much of an advantage, because they don't really drive there a lot, which is unfortunate. And Kalgoorlie, as we all know, we're going to discuss that later, but Kalgoorlie, in the middle of summer, sometimes is a very hard place to get water into.
Brad Mayolo, again, a great performance, steady all night long. I think we're going to see big things from him.
Correct, no doubt.
Dane Kingshot, last to 5th in the feature race. I thought it was a brilliant drive, and whilst he caught the wrath of the stewards early on, he paid the penalty, but he was good enough to come back up to 5th place.
Look, he's one of the best drivers that we've ever seen at the Motorplex. He hails from Bunbury, as we all know. He's got a top race car. Yes, he made a mistake, and unfortunately he paid the penalty, went to the rear of the field. To a certain extent, he's paid his dues, and now he's got to look at the rest of the season. But what I love about Dane, and I've said this last year and I'll say it again, he's one driver that drives to survive. He doesn't panic. When he went to the rear of the field, he said, well, I've got a tough job now. I've got to pass 23 cars. Well, he passed something like 20 of them. So he did a pretty good, 19 of them anyway. He did a good job to finish in 5th place.
Jai Corbett from Queensland in the Monty Motorsport car. Didn't really do anything that stood out, did he?
Well, I was going to say, what do you expect? I probably shouldn't say that, but the Motorplex is a lot different to Toowoomba and Archfield. Archfield is closed now, and a lot of the Eastern States tracks. And there's a young guy that was driving a world-class car. I think he needs a couple more runs under his belt, and I think that once he gets used to it again, he did race here last season, but he's a good driver, and Luch puts together a great race car.
Brilliant, and it looks good, doesn't it? The yellow colour really stands out on the track. So look forward to more things from the Monty Motorsport team as the season goes along, and he'll have an American in the car as well later.
Yep.
And Con, I wanted to make mention of all of the newcomers, and there was about 7 or 8 of them in the field, and I thought they all performed very, very well. We've often said how long it takes to get to grips with these monsters. And they didn't go for glory. They were very steady. They drove well in mixed traffic. I thought it was a terrific performance.
It was. And they never got into trouble. They never got in the way of the guys coming through it. In fact, we can only say that it was a really top sprint car show. There were only 3 restarts, I'm saying only. But it looks like that the sprint cars have turned the corner with some of the older guys to come back in the next week or two. And with the state title coming up and the King of Wings, well, so we've got a smorgasbord of speedway still coming our way.
Absolutely. Buoying Up Sellers, as you know, Con, are putting on the Sprint Car Driver of the Year in conjunction with the Spirit of Speedway, our radio show on SEN Radio Network 621. So now that we've had our first meeting, we... as 2 judges and Sheldon Hart as the other judges started to put our votes together and voting for the Driver of the Year, and the prize purse at the end of the year will be a magnificent Michael Figlamini trophy. There will be $1,000 cash from Assured Learning, $1,000 worth of tools or product from King Chrome, and we thank all of those, plus a case of champagne from Buoying Up Sellers that we're going to help the winner drink. So this is very worthwhile, and the winner will have to earn the prize. Now, let's just go to this slide, Con, because it's important that we let viewers know. 1 p.m. on Wednesday, our 91.3 Let's Talk Speedway program is on, and that's repeated at 8 o'clock on Wednesday evening. And at 2 p.m. on Friday, the Sports Entertainment Network, SEN, The Spirit of Speedway, the show that we put on there, is at 2 o'clock on Friday. And there we will reveal more about the Sprint Car Driver of the Year, the Buoying Up Sellers Sprint Car Driver of the Year. So that's something to certainly look forward to. And coming up, Con, next meeting at the Perth Motorplex, the 1st of November, the Sprint Car Western Apples. That's always a great event, isn't it?
Yes, a compulsory pit stop in the middle of that particular event. It's one of the events that I love. Probably because it was a bit of my baby, but the fact is that it's an event that's grown, and now with the numbers of cars we've got and the different pit crews, it's funny, out of all the cars were there on Saturday night, probably only one driver in the sprint cars that went home very, very happy, and that was Callum Williamson, I should say, and the rest of the guys went out disappointed. So that just shows you, so out of all the cars, only one can win.
Indeed. Now, Con, just quickly, the Sprint Car Western Apples, there'll be Sprint Cars Late Models WA Speed Car title, and Wingless Sprints will make their first appearance for the season. So WA Speed Car title after the performance of Speed Cars on Saturday night. I'm really looking forward to that.
Yep, I am too. It's an event that it's a big one, and it's good to see that we see the Wingless Sprints make their debut for this season in particular, and I'm looking forward to seeing Tom Payet in that field and clashing with some of the Lyowana brothers, etc., that have really set the place on fire in the last couple of seasons.
Indeed. Well, sadly, that brings us to the end of another show. Con and I look forward to your company right here next week, same time. Bye for now.
Let's go racing off at turn number 4. We are Green.
We welcome you to the Perth Motorplex here on 7.
It's time to double down. It's time to raise the stakes. And it is time to go all in with high limit racing.
Kyle Larson is a $100,000 sprinter and wins the High Limits International Sprint Cars here at the Perth Motorplex.
Probably one of the top 3 best facilities, best racetracks. It might even be the best.